There's a whole literature about what we call the psychotic boss. We've all dealt with that. I've had to. It's the boss where nothing you can do quite will ever please them. They're very difficult. And it's a really awful situation. And then there are gradations where there's the less than psychotic boss, but he or she's just an a-hole, and they're just really hard to deal with, you know?
Yeah.
We've all been through that. Well, okay, so what I'm talking about and what you're referencing is you have to realize the worst thing is to take everything personally and get emotional. Mm-hmm. So people who are psychotic bosses, their power is in grabbing your emotions and entangling you in a drama. They're better at it. They're more aggressive. They're nastier. They're more difficult. They're more amoral than you are. You're never going to win playing to their strengths. They thrive on making you emotional. Mm. So you have to learn, in general, in life, to stop taking things so emotionally. Now, it's not everything. I do want you to fall in love and have a family and love your children, etc. But in the work world, it pays to cool things down and to realize that it is never personal. So when you're facing this person, this boss, your tendency is to take it personally, to think their anger and their difficultness and their aggression is directed at you, that there's something about you they don't like, whatever.
Definitely. This other guy, he felt like the person was trying to pick on him. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. It's never about you personally. Mm-hmm. Never. Hardly ever. People who are like this, I go in the book, I delve deeply into their psychology. I give you numerous ways for understanding them. But the gist of it is they're reenacting dramas from their own troubled childhood. They have terrible issues. They're reliving things from their horrible father or their mean narcissistic mother or whatever it was, generally from very early in childhood, maybe a little bit later. And you're the target. They're just simply replaying their old dramas with new actors. It's not personal. It has nothing to do with you. Don't take it personally. See them for what they are. Understand that they are twisted people with some kind of issues. And I talk about what these various issues are. I go into it, into all the different types of horrible people that there are in this world. And there are a good many types of them, from the passive aggressive to the narcissist, to the control freak, to all those types, you know. Knowledge will liberate you. Knowing that this is what is motivating them, all right, now I have options. I don't have to react. I don't have to get emotional. I can retreat. I can withdraw. I can play certain games on them that'll, if you want to infuriate them and imbalance them so they'll leave you alone, you have more than enough material to do that. You have deterrent strategies from deterring them from being aggressive. You have options when you have knowledge. The other thing is you cut them down to size. You see them as the little child stomping their feet. In the war book, I'm having to read, Joseph Stalin is sort of my quintessence of the awful psychotic boss. There's nobody worse in history than Joseph Stalin. Imagine you have a boss that if you anger, you're sent to the gulag and you're going to die. So you have a boss that is holding life and death over you. He's terrible. He's horrible. I talk in War about the great Russian composer Shostakovich, who suddenly is meeting face to face with Stalin. He's so intimidating. He's got this look where he's just like, people were like, I'm serious. People would literally shit in their pants when he looked at them at this certain way, because they knew he looked at them that way. They're going to go they're going to the gulag. They're going to die.
Yeah, life is on the line.
Their life is on the line. He gave that look to Shostakovich. Basically, this other person that was in the meeting was saying, Stalin was upset because this was a meeting about who was going to compose the new national anthem for the Soviet Union after World War II. And Shostakovich had written something, and Khachaturian had something, and Stalin was critiquing these people, and this one guy, and he was critiquing this one man's orchestration, and the man said, well, you know what, I actually didn't orchestrate it, this other guy did. And Shostakovich was realizing he just signed the death warrant for that young man who did the orchestration by saying that he did the faulty orchestration. It literally was going to mean that. So Shostakovich, in a flash, realized that it didn't fall for Stalin's intimidation game. He saw him as a little child, as a 6-year-old boy with a philandering father and a mother who beat him and an awful childhood, and he cut him down to size. I'm not intimidated by this man. He does not intimidate me. And in that moment, he had presence of mind, and he said, oh, such and such, your orchestrator is a very fine orchestrator. You shouldn't blame him. You know, you should do your own orchestration from now on. He sort of saved the situation. But the mental process was, he cut this person down to size. He didn't fall for the myth. He saw them as a human being with temper tantrums, with issues, etc. When you fall for the myth, when you start thinking that they're greater than they are, when you start trembling, when your bowels start moving from fear, you're in their grasp. When you're reasonably calm, you maintain your presence of mind, you see them as a little baby that's throwing a tantrum, or whatever it is, you've got some control and you have options. If we're talking about strategy, the number one strategic principle that I say is the most important of all is the person who has options, has more options, is the one who will win in a competitive situation. If you only have one option, you're generally under the control of your opponent. But if you create a situation where you're there and you can go here, 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 or here, that means you can react in the moment and you can take the path that might be the best for that situation. You always want options. And when you get emotional, when you react, when you get caught in their drama, you have only one option: anger. You start repeating in your mind the same thing over and over and over again. You've lost. You've already lost. When you're calm and you can not say anything, you can quit, you can be a toady for a few moments but not really feel like that's who you are. All right, you can choose. You're in control, and that asshole boss is not in control because you have options.